Boy, do we have a jam-packed show for you today. The Dallas Stars are third in the NHL. How have they managed that? Mason Marchment's electric return to the lineup last night. Oh, and they acquired Cody, Ceci, and Mikael Granlund, plus some adversity. Let's get into it on today's edition of Locked On Stars.
You're Locked On Stars, your daily podcast on the Dallas Stars. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Howdy, Stars fans. I'm Joey Erickson, former producer of 105 Through the Fan. Please be sure to subscribe. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. And as always, thank you so much for making us a part of your day and making us your first listen. Welcome back to another week of Locked On Stars. It's a pleasure to be with you on this Monday as the Dallas Stars currently sit third in the National Hockey League. How have they done that? What a wild ride it has been this season. Mason Marchment returns to the lineup last night. We'll go over his return and the Stars' victory over the Columbus Blue Jackets. We have to talk Cody, Ceci, and Mikael Granlund, who made their debut last night with the Dallas Stars, and plenty more on a jam-packed Monday edition that is brought to you by FanDuel. New customers can bet just $5, and if you win, you'll score $200 in bonus bets. Download the app or head to FanDuel.com to get started. So the Dallas Stars have now won 5 in a row. I do have to put out there, every time I go on a rant or have an overreaction, the Dallas Stars respond with a winning streak. If you recall, a few Mondays ago after the debacle that was that Carolina Hurricanes game, I was so infuriated, and then boom, they've won 5 in a row. So my overreactions are prompting these winning streaks. At least that's what's going to keep me sane throughout the rest of the season. It's pretty remarkable what Dallas has done, ladies and gentlemen. And I've been as critical as the next podcast host, name whoever, about the Dallas Stars, but they picked up the most ground in the month of January in the NHL. They picked up the most amount of points. They're now on a 5-game winning streak after defeating the Blue Jackets last night. They have 69 points, and they're third in the NHL behind Washington and the Winnipeg Jets. Two of the best teams in the NHL, really from the start of the entire season. They have a plus 40 goal differential. They're 27-1 at home. That's tied for the most wins in the NHL, along with the Jets and Carolina Hurricanes. And they're 14-10-0 on the road, which is nothing to scoff at. But the power play is starting to turn a corner. This comes from Robert Tiffin. Since January began, the Stars' power play has gone 32%, 13 for 41. That's fourth best in the NHL over that span. So some of these numbers, such as the power play, may be regressing to the mean, which we were hoping would happen at some point, but it had been taking months and weeks. You had little spurts of the power play doing some damage, but you weren't getting the consistency like the Stars are right now on their man advantage. And Thomas Harley is really going to expand his versatility on the power play as the number one quarterback for his unit now that Miro Heiskanen is now out for the foreseeable future. Still waiting for an update on Miro, by the way, if surgery is needed. If not, I know the MRI suggested no surgery was needed, but they're getting a second opinion and all that good stuff. So we'll continue to wait on further updates on Miro. But Harley, what a play he had on the Johnston goal last night. He is just so potent with the puck on his stick. One thing that Thomas Harley has over Miro Heiskanen is his aggressiveness and his activeness with the puck on his stick. If it's one thing you can be critical of Miro on the power play in particular, he's a bit more passive and he doesn't open up enough shooting lanes for himself or others. You see the way Harley was able to maneuver his way through the offensive zone, around a couple of Columbus defenders, find a soft spot, opens up Johnston in the slot, and he puts it right on his tape. And Miro can do that, of course. I just believe Miro always has in the back of his mind, if there's a turnover, if we don't jump on this loose puck, if we lose a battle here, I have to be the lone guy back to defend whatever is coming my way, whether it's a shorthanded rush, whether it's a 2-on-1, right? Harley, not saying he doesn't have that in the back of his mind, but he's looking to push the envelope. And I think that's really, really good for the Stars right now, who need something different on the power play. And now it forces the hand of Steve Spott to have Harley as your number one quarterback. We'll see if Bichsel gets some time with the second unit. I'm really curious to see how it all shakes out now that Nils Lundqvist is out for the season. That was something that broke over the weekend. He has to have season-ending shoulder surgery, which is so unfortunate. He's been having his best year as a defenseman in the NHL, and his season is done, which certainly threw a wrench into some plans and probably spurred the acquisition of Cody, Ceci, and Mikael Granlund over the weekend. We'll get to that in a bit. The goaltending's been so good for Dallas as well. Otter's having one of the more consistent years of his career. Casey DeSmith has been such a solid backup for Dallas as well. He's been so good. He's got a couple of shutouts this season, performed really well yesterday. Columbus had some tasty chances. Dallas didn't defend all that well. If you looked at the hockey stat card, I think it was very indicative of how Dallas played. There was a lot to be desired on the defensive side of the puck, but the Stars' big boys kind of came to play. It was nice to see Dodonov score a couple of goals as well. I was shocked that wasn't high sticking. I really was. At the angles we got from Victory Plus last night, I was 100% certain that call or that goal was going to be reversed, which gave the Stars a 4-3 lead at the time, about halfway through that third period. I was shocked it wasn't taken off. The NHL released a statement, said video review confirmed that Evgeny Dodonov's stick was at or below the height of the crossbar, when he directed the puck into Columbus's net. They may have had a different angle. I don't know. It can, of course, be a bit deceptive if the camera angle is not perfectly aligned with the crossbar. Can you really know? And they must have concluded there wasn't conclusive evidence to overturn the call on the ice, which was a goal. But I was a bit shocked by it. And Dallas took advantage of it, and they ended up getting a second one on Dodonov, a little backhand pass to the front of the crease, and it ricochets off a skating end. I thought the Stars did an excellent job of getting to the front of the net last night. All four of their goals were within a 5-foot radius of the top of the crease. They got interior, of course, the Johnston little tip goal. Stankoven off the sort of penalty I thought Harley was going to get. You see that call made all the time. I wasn't upset it wasn't called, obviously, but that's the type of penalty you usually see being called for what Harley did. I believe that was on Johnson at the time, who was kind of spinning back into his own zone. It wasn't a great play by him as well, and the Stars took advantage. It was a sweet feed by Granlund to set up Stankoven, who has not scored a lot of home power, or not a lot of home goals, I should say, at the American Airlines Center. And again, it was nice for Dallas to sort of reverse the trend of they go down and they respond rather quickly. As we know, throughout this season, every time Dallas seems to score first, within 2 minutes of the ensuing faceoff, the other team is going to find a way to score. It was nice that Dallas was sort of on the other end of that, continued to just push and clip away. They had to tie it at three times, or they had to tie the game 3 times. And then they were able to take the lead in the third. Harley had a great night. It's going to be so fun to watch Harley really expand his game. He's going to get some more PK time. Head coach Pete DeBoer mentioned he's going to, of course, garner more of the minutes on the power play. Just the whole the whole defensive breakdown or deployment is fascinating for me. Fascinating with Miro out. We saw Lian Bichsel play 17 minutes and 22 seconds last night. Get this. So the 2 games following Miro Heiskanen's absence, Lian Bichsel has played 19:06 in the 5-3 win over Vancouver and 17:22 in the 5-3 win over Columbus. Bichsel has already upped his minutes by a pretty significant margin in the 2 games after Miro Heiskanen has been out. So Bichsel's going to play a lot, and he's going to have the leash extended a bit. They're going to allow him to make some mistakes, allow him to play in some of those key situations, right? The Dadonov goal, number 1, that's an offensive zone faceoff, and DeBoer loaded up with Dadonov and his trio, and he put Harley and Bichsel as the pairing out in the offensive zone. That says a lot. Usually it's Miro and Harley. In a third period, when the Stars need a goal, he went with Bichsel and Harley. It's very, very telling about how the Stars coaching staff sees Lian Bichsel. Lindell's going to play a lot of minutes, as you would expect, 23-51. Last night, he played over 3 minutes on the penalty kill. He played a ton in the game against Vancouver as Dallas goes 3 for 3 down a man. They go 1 for 3 on the power play. Mason Marchment, let's get into him since I've been sort of rambling, and we cannot gloss over the fact that Mason Marchment returned and looked like Mason Marchment. What an electric performance from him, and it looked like he did not miss a beat. Look at the goal he scored. He crashes in on the forecheck, plays the body on Fabro. Duchesne works it to him. Again, Marchment uses his size, his physicality to box out Fabro, gets the puck to the point with the help of Maverick Bourque, and then boom, he goes right to the front of the net. Bichsel throws it towards the cage. Marchment gets a piece of it, and boom, it's in the back of the net. Just a perfect example of what Dallas misses with Mason Marchment. That is his game and what Dallas needs more of. Just did not lose a beat last night. Did not miss an entire beat after being out for what? Maybe almost a dozen games. I don't know the exact number, but you look at that shift from Marchment, and it's typical. It's stereotypical of what he brings. Winning a battle deep beneath the end line in the opponent's territory, goes to the net, tips home his 13th of the season. I just thought it was brilliant stuff from him. Great to have him back in the lineup. You could see he had the fresh legs. He was energetic. It gave Dallas a bit of a spark. His return was very anticipated, and now he gets a game under his belt before Dallas goes on this West Coast road trip before they wrap up before Four Nations. Some updates on that. Tyler Seguin's actually going on the trip. Of course, he's not going to be playing, but he's going on the trip for a little team bonding, which is great. Maverick Bourque, an update on him after he took that puck up high, and he was leaking. Oh, he was leaking. There was a lot of liquid coming off of his nose / facial area. They seem to be under the understanding, or have come to some sort of a conclusion that he'll be all right. It wasn't sort of the Marchment issue that we had about a month ago. Bourque seems to be okay, and they believe he's going to make the trip, which is a good sign. He said pretty swollen, but believes there's not serious damage. He will go on the trip. So that's a win, but of course another scary sight, and it's like the hockey gods just will not allow anybody on the Stars to not get hit in the puck with a face. We're going to have to go full bubbles nowadays. We're going to have to go full shields to protect these pretty faces of Dallas. So a lot to dissect over the weekend. Just so much has occurred. It's mind-boggling to some degree. The Stars are in third place with the injuries that have taken place, and they just continue to chug along. They chug along, and it shows a lot about what the Stars are, and they're starting to find themselves, find an identity, and stack some wins together, and the front office believes in them. the front office and general manager Jim Nill believes in the Dallas Stars. That's sort of what that trade over the weekend meant. We'll get into that in just a moment. Today's episode of Locked On Stars is brought to you by FanDuel. Super Bowl 59 is here. One game, two teams, endless possibilities, and there's no better way to make every play more exciting than with FanDuel Sportsbook. Whether it's predicting the first touchdown, calling the MVP, or even betting on the coin toss, FanDuel makes it easy to get in on the action. With live betting all game long, you can adjust your bets as the game unfolds and feel the thrill from kickoff to the final whistle. The live betting feature lets you stay involved no matter what happens on the field, and the app is super easy to navigate. Plus, knowing that you can place just a $5 bet and potentially win $200 in bonus bets for your Super Bowl, that is the best icing on the cake. So get in on the action. The Philadelphia Eagles and Kansas City Chiefs round 2. Can the Chiefs go for 3 in a row? Download the app or head to FanDuel.com to get started. Bet just $5, and if you win, you'll score $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Bet with FanDuel, official partner of Super Bowl 59. I apologize if I sound a bit atrocious. I was on a bus with a team that has pretty much all gotten sick. So a lot of us are going through it. We had to play 3 games this past weekend, and it seems everybody's kind of passing around some sort of bug. But feeling okay, which is a great sign. Throat doesn't feel all that great, which I don't know if that's sickness related or just me never shutting my yap over the weekend. It could be a taste of both. But let's get into the Cody, Ceci, and Mikael Granlund trade, which sort of came out of nowhere on Saturday. And it was funny too, because I was asked to go 105 through the fan to discuss the trade on Sunday. But we all know in Dallas, Luka was traded in the early morning hours of Saturday night. I wasn't able to do it because I had a game anyways, but I would have assumed I would have been kicked to the curb after the Luka Doncic trade anyways, so it probably worked out. They had plenty of content to discuss during their 4-hour show. But we're going to discuss it here. My initial feelings on the deal. Mikael Granlund has been someone I think I've brought up before in episodes. We haven't talked about him a lot recently. I know Brock Nelson's gotten some love in JT Miller, but Granlund has sort of been a commodity in recent seasons for teams that are looking to add, a scoring winger. And I'm bullish on what he can be here. I thought last night was a perfect representation of what Granlund's going to be here in Dallas. The environment for him is really suitable. They put him alongside Jamie Benn, played a little bit with Dodonov as well. I think it's a really easy transition for Mikael Granlund. I think anybody can use a center/wing that can score. He had 45 points with San Jose before coming over. And Dallas has so much depth and talent. He can really slot in wherever you want, whether that's the top 6. He's been playing 20 minutes a night with San Jose. They may not need him to do that here, but it's just a really comfortable situation and environment for him. He played 16-40 last night. When he was on the ice, the shots were 11 against 6. Of course, he set up the Stankoven goal. I just, I like the player. I don't have a lot of critiques or negatives about bringing him in. The deal as a whole, I don't have a huge issue with any of it. Dallas gave up a couple of draft picks. Let me confirm the exact ones for you here. 2025 first round pick and a 2025 third round pick. It's a conditional pick. I think it moves to his second if the Stars make the Stanley Cup final. And from what I understand, that was a pick they gave up when they traded Ty Dellandrea over the summer to San Jose. Or it's the pick they received. So they just give it back to San Jose. Cody Ceci, on the other hand, I put this out on X. Ceci is just a defenseman you sort of add because you add a defenseman to some degree. Is he a great player? No. Is he going to have a huge impact in Dallas? That's to be determined. I don't know. I thought he had some really rough moments last night. He looked out of position on a few. The Fantilli goal, he was swimming a bit. They put him alongside Lindell to see how that pairing would work. I'm not going to take a lot of stock in last night, by the way. Not going to take a lot. They haven't even practiced with the Stars, and they just kind of threw him into the fire. That's a hard thing to do, no matter how many games in the NHL you've played. Ceci's not a reliable defender. Of course, he's not going to bring you a lot of offense. His defensive rating is -7 on Hockey Stat Cards. His offensive rating is -3.0. But again, these are just moves for Dallas to sort of fill some holes that they have to fill right now. And with Miro going out and now Lundqvist, it doesn't hurt to add somebody like Ceci for cheap, right? I can't hate what Jim Nill's doing here. It's the right move. Is it a splash? No, but that's not the point of this acquisition for Dallas at this point. They just got to fill some holes. And true, we still don't know. We don't know the timetable for Miro Heiskanen and his return. So Ceci may have to play quite a bit here in the next month or two. Who knows when Miro's going to be fully back or fully healthy? Is he going to be fully healthy at any point? Is he going to have to play through something come Stanley Cup playoff time if he does return before the postseason? Right? Like there's a lot of answers or a lot of questions that are still out there that really I don't know if Dallas knows. So this is a great move for the Stars to just make some moves and fill some holes on the fly. And you get a player like Granlund and Ceci that can fill right in. Yeah, Granlund, I'm bullish on him. I think he's going to be a really nice fit, whether he plays with Jamie Benn. Maybe they give him some time with Duchesne. We saw a little bit of everything last night. I think Pete DeBoer was experimenting a bit. We had a lot of different line combinations. So it adds another piece to the puzzle for Dallas. Again, the environment is much easier for Granlund right now to fit in than it is Cody Ceci. So I'm not going to take a lot from last night, but that's what you're going to get in Cody Ceci. I think, again, what we saw from both players last night is to be expected. Ceci really struggled. You look at some of the advanced numbers, he was second to last in the game at -1.59. His expected goals against was 1.28. By far, excuse me, I can't speak. By far the highest in the entire game. So you're gonna get some Matt Dumba with him. Look, that's just sort of what you got to accept right now. But he did play with the Sharks too. Sharks are not a great team, getting better. Not a great team. The Stars back end isn't sexy, but they're still top 5 in goals against, which I think is remarkable. And they're finding a way to get it done with the bodies they have. So there's something to be said for that. There's something to be said for that. So we'll see how it materializes. But all in all, thought it was a good move. You fill some holes on the fly. Is it flashy? Is it ground shaking like Luka Doncic? No. But these are the type of deals you sort of have to make to get your team in a spot where they're kind of in a rut right now. They're not really. I mean, they won 5 games, but they're going through some issues. They got some injuries. Gotta add some bodies in there. And maybe in a few weeks' time, you make that splashy trade, that sexy pickup that's a little bit more ground shaking, and you go from there. So clap your hands to competent general managing in the DFW area. It's really hard to come by. It really is. Look at the teams within the area. It's hard to come by. It really is. So there you go. Let's get into some adversity. Adversity is a good thing. Stars fans, it's actually a great thing. Stars have had a lot of it. And it's only going to bode well for them come April. We'll get into that in just a moment. Adversity is never a negative in an 82-game NHL season. You have to have some skins on the wall. You have to go through some injuries, have to lose some of your top players like Tyler Seguin, Mason Marchment, Miro Heiskanen for a significant amount of time. And for Dallas to come out on the other side of all of these injuries, and I put it on X how Dallas was third in the NHL, and some of you wonderful Locked On Stars listeners mentioned what's more impressive is the fact we've gotten this far with so many critical injuries, and yet the boys are still treading on. All the rookies in the Cedar Park peeps are chipping in and giving it their all. Amen to that. Amen to that. Got to hold on to it. Got a lot left to be played. Someone mentioned as well. And I concur with all of it. Complacency is the enemy of success. Complacency is the enemy of success. That is going to be the motto the rest of the way, Stars fans. We are going to be preaching that here on Locked On Stars the rest of the way. And the Cody, Ceci and Mikael Granlund trade is a perfect example of not being complacent. The power play was a little complacent for a lot of the season. It's starting to turn a corner because they've thrown some new personnel out there. Now with Miro out, it sort of forces your hand, and you got to put Thomas Harley as your number one QB on the power play. Not being complacent, making changes, continuing to battle through injuries, continuing to battle through struggles. And Dallas has certainly had them, whether it's against some of the best teams in the NHL, whether it's some of the worst. We've seen it all. It's been a roller coaster, which every year is. But the fact that the Stars are where they are currently right now boggles the mind a bit, but also doesn't. With leaders like Jamie Benn and Matt Duchene, the veterans in the dressing room that are holding this all together, and give Tyler Seguin some props too. There's been reports about him staying engaged with all the guys, staying engaged in the dressing room and being a leader off the ice to his best ability. And that takes a special type of person too. Tyler just had a new baby girl. I believe it could have been a baby boy. I think it was a baby girl. I'm sure he's got a lot going on at home, becoming a new dad. And he's finding ways to make it all work. And I think that's just a perfect representation of him and what sort of locker room the Dallas Stars have cultivated. The culture is something something not to be underestimated. The Stars are in this position now, losing their number one defenseman for a large amount of time here. It seems to be, could be a few months. Marchment, who was really their most consistent scorer at the time, had been out for a dozen or more games. They have lost some significant pieces, and it's just next man up. Johnston got off to a slow start. Stankoven got off to a really slow start. And still some of the goal scoring is not as consistent as he would like, but there have been a lot of things that have gone against Dallas. And if they were 10th in the West, or let's just say 8th, which they were at one point, like I think a month and a half ago, not even, they were, in a second wild card position. You'd be like, yeah, that sort of makes sense, right? Like they haven't played their best, And also they could make some excuses. They could have some excuses with some injuries and whatnot that's taken place. But no, they sit third in the NHL. And I think we have to expand out 20,000 feet and give them a bit of a golf clap. Job's not done. Job's not done. Stanley Cup is still the goal and still what we're striving for here as Stars fans, and we're going to hold them to that standard because that's what they hold their standards to. And we're going to have a fun finish to this thing. We're going to have a fun finish to the playoffs. I'm still anxious and nervous about Miro. I really am. Without him, I don't know what the Stars can really do in the postseason. I think he's that significant. Getting through 2 rounds seems like a stretch. 3, I don't see it right now. But it's remarkable what the Stars have been able to cook up here with the hand they've been dealt at points throughout this season. And the man behind it all, Jim Nill, deserves so much credit for just piecing this roster together. And that's the Justin Ritzkovians of the world. That's the R2 Gurus of the world. That's the Matej Blumels. Like, they've had to play and get called up, play some significant time. That's that can't be scoffed at. That can't be scoffed at. This is how you team build. And Nill's doing it so well. And get this just popped up as I was looking on X. Jim Nill's going to be on Spit and Chicklets tomorrow. So that's awesome. We're going to get to hear from the horse's mouth himself about where he feels the Stars are at. So really, really looking forward to that one. Keep an eye out on a Spit and Chicklets drop tomorrow on a Tuesday, because there may be some really, really good stuff we can piece from Jim Nill's interview with the Spit and Chicklets boys. And I think that's a perfect way to bring it full circle and bring today's episode to a close. So much to get into. So much happened over the weekend. So much happened. Niels Lundqvist, the trade. Marchment's back. Stars are winning. My goodness. So we were able to get through pretty much it all today, which was good. Appreciate all you wonderful listeners of Locked On Stars. Shout out to you everydayers out there. Thank you for the love and support. I know the schedule and my content has just been a bit wonky. It happens. Going to buckle down and be more consistent. That's the goal. I promise you, I love doing this. It's an absolute pleasure and blessing to do this every single day and talk Stars hockey. And I appreciate those of you that tune in to hear what I have to say, albeit it's not always fascinating, but I try to make it entertaining. Have a great Monday, Stars fans. Dallas is back in action tomorrow to kick off a little Western road trip, West Coast trip, taking on the Ducks tomorrow. We'll get into the Ducks and all that good stuff and continue to chug along here on Locked On Stars. Have a great day. See you tomorrow, Stars fans.